Hit record was just my own little kind of rallying cry. I want to be the one to push the button to hit record.
Hello, hello. Today I am here with the wonderful Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and we are going to get into the weeds about HITRECORD Class Projects. My name is Cherokee. Thank you for being here, and how are you today?
I'm well. Nice to meet you too, Cherokee. Look at us being human beings. Even though we're on Zoom, we're actually, talking about how we are. Yeah, I'm good. I feel really good these days. Can I start just by saying hello to Tumblr? It's been a while. I was super active on Tumblr a while ago, and it's good to be back.
So we are going to dive right in, starting with user P. DeMerkin, who I definitely butchered their username, asked, got any big projects going on HITRECORD at the moment?
Yeah, so Class Projects is building off of what we've been doing on HITRECORD for years, which is all about just people being creative together and having art and creativity be sort of less of a popularity contest like it can be other places online, and more about just the love of the process and the community and the feeling you get, the meaning and the fun. And so we've taken everything we've learned about collaborative creativity online and applied it to learning. Because so many people come to HITRECORD and they're like, oh man, I really love what you're doing, and this seems like a really positive community. I'd love to be a part of it, but I don't feel like I know how to do it. I don't have the skills. And Class Projects is a way to kind of say, it doesn't matter what you know. You could be a beginner, you could even be an expert and just eager to learn from, some other perspectives, but we'll take you by the hand. There's always something inspiring to do, and you can learn how to do it. I've done an acting class, I've taught a writing class so far, and a bunch of people have taught all kinds of classes: photography, video editing, poetry, collage, etc. There's tons of them. And it felt like Tumblr was a great place to say, like, hey, you guys, this is kind of up your alley. There's a creative bunch of people on Tumblr and think you might really like it. And
what are you on set for at the moment? What are you working on?
I'm working on this show called Super Pumped: The Battle for Uber, it's a really cool, it's a limited series, 7 episodes, gonna come out in February on Showtime, and I'm playing Travis Kalanick, the former CEO of Uber, which is a fascinating story. Thrilling and dark at times, and I think sort of shining a light about a lot of what big tech is becoming and has become. So it's been a fascinating show to be working on.
You mentioned the courses that you personally are doing for Class Projects or have done, including a monologue acting course. Could you give us a quick pointer or kind of maybe one of the first little tips or tricks that you give in the class?
So my Class Project's broken down into 3 lessons. And the way you do each one is at the end of each lesson, you contribute a work in progress. And you always get feedback on every contribution. We break it down into those lessons. And the second lesson of my acting class is, which occurs to me to talk about, is called Understanding Motivation, which sounds funny because an actor talking about motivation has become sort of a cliche, but the word motivation, all it means, and is despite all the cliches, all it means is knowing why you're saying what you're saying. Knowing, what's my motivation is just a fancy way of saying, like, why am I saying this?
In the process of, figuring out the motivations behind the role you're playing in Super Pumped, kind of what's coming up there? How are you working through that? It's
really interesting thinking about Travis's motivation. Travis Kalanick is the name of the guy I'm playing, and I've spoken to a whole bunch of different people that worked with him, and for that exact reason, like trying to understand what makes him tick, what's motivating him, what does he want. And this is a guy that he wanted to win so bad, just so bad, wanted to win at all costs. It mattered less what the impact was or who he had to run over in order to win. He just needed to win. And that makes for a kind of a kinetic and fascinating character to play and to watch in a TV show, and keep that in mind and just have to win. He was obsessive about it.
User Scooby Snack asked, how do you continuously stay creative? Is there anything you do to get out of a creative funk?
To me, one of the big things is don't do it alone. If I have an idea, like, run that idea by someone else. See what they have to say about it, or, start making stuff together with other people. if I stay alone for too long with my thoughts, it degenerates into circular thinking and self-doubt and, you know, all kinds of darkness that is not productive. So that would be my first thing about getting out of creative funk, is like find other people to do it together with.
And on the note of kind of getting into your own head and spiraling, Anonymous asked, how did you create such a relatable and down-to-earth person like Mr. Corman, who I think, you know, embodies a lot of that stress and anxiety that you mentioned?
Yeah, Anonymous, I know that guy. What's up, dude? Do that. Well, Mr. Corman, it came out of exactly what I was just talking about. You know, he's a lot of me. And in fact, that process of creating that character for Mr. Corman is what I based my screenwriting class project on. The screenwriting class project that I taught and am teaching is called Creating a Character Based on Yourself. And I basically took the process that I went through to create Joshua Corman for the show Mr. Corman.
Speaking of Mr. Corman and the characters that you've played in the past, what kind of class projects courses do you think some of the characters that you've played in the past would teach? Starting with Tommy from Third Rock from the Sun.
What would Tommy from Third Rock from the Sun teach? Geez. Well, he was the information officer. He was also adolescent. That was his thing. He's also an alien from another planet, so I guess, I don't know, like writing from an outsider's perspective, perhaps?
And what about Cameron from 10 Things I Hate About You?
Writing love poems? I don't know.
On the note of 10 Things I Hate About You, Please, Please, Please Me said, I watched 10 Things I Hate About You the other day and was wondering if you had a favorite memory from that film.
We all used to hang out a lot at night together. I think that's part of why that movie's so good, was because we all genuinely had fun together and liked each other. But I remember one night, if I'm not mistaken, I was fairly stoned. And I remember I was like sitting on the floor. I was like being this stoned little like gnome looking back and forth between Heath and I think it was Cromwell's. And I was like looking back and forth and back and forth. And you know how you get into these patterns sometimes when you're stoned, and this is exactly the kind of thing that Heath would pick up on. I looked at Heath and he was still talking to Cromwell's. I looked at Cromwell's and then I looked back at Heath and he had like, he was like looking right at me like this because he knew that I was about to look back at him. And he spooked the fuck out of me. And I probably yelped audibly in my cannabis-induced stupor, but I remember his face fucking with me that hard. Yeah, that's a good memory.
And do you have a favorite memory from the set of Inception? And that question is from your favorite, Anonymous.
What's up, Anonymous? The dream gravity fight in Inception was just so much fun. My brother came to visit me. We were in a kind of remote town in England, and he had like been traveling all day, and he makes his way to where we are, and he told me about it later. He was like, it was the weirdest thing, dude, because I had been traveling all day, and I get there and they take me to, you know, the middle of this crazy thing, and there's this gigantic rotating fucking machine I don't even understand, and in the middle of all of that is you hopping around like fighting people. And it was one of the weirder things I've ever seen. I remember him telling me that. So that's one of my favorite memories, actually, is when my brother came to visit me when we were rehearsing that fight scene.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much, Joe, for taking the time to chat today. It was so lovely to meet you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tumblr. See you later.